What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Did you guys know that Hunter Biden got Obama administration to help Burisma subsidiary? New bombshell letter shows, see where our interests may overlap. So, full transparency, full disclosure right off the top. As you can see, this is from the New York Post. They are supposedly right-wing, but honestly, for one of the first times, one of the very few times, I read through a corporate press article. They are still corporate press, right? Reuters, I think it was Reuters, it might have been the Associated Press, labeled them as a tabloid publication. No, they're a news outlet. But the Associated Press or Reuters, I forget which one it is, they just love disparaging anybody that's not in the club, if you will, which is absurd. But they're right-wing, supposedly. But like I was saying, I read through this article. I didn't see hardly any manipulations in this thing whatsoever. That's another reason I'm covering it. But once again, like I always tell you guys, every time if I read a right-wing news, I'm going to let you know about it first, to let you know where this video is going to go. But I will also reiterate that I didn't see hardly any manipulation in this thing at all, which is surprising, y'all, because once again, I read a lot of right-wing news. I just don't cover a lot of right-wing news because I always cover the left-wing news because I love it. The reason I do that is because, one reason, I love when people come in and say, oh, look, this guy in his echo chamber just yelling at nobody. Echo chamber, huh? I'm reading left-wing news, my guy. Left-wing news. Do you know what that means? I'm reading opposition news. Yeah, that's not an echo chamber, as a matter of fact. Can't be, by definition. So I try to exempt myself from that, but I always let you guys know. But let's get into this. Enough of my dilly-dallying, right? Former first son Hunter Biden got help from the Obama administration, which his father, Joe, served as vice president while repping Ukrainian energy company Burisma Holdings, which paid the younger Biden $1 million salary based on his political connections, bombshell federal files published Friday show. The documents, which emerged 73 days after Joe Biden's presidency ended, show Hunter, now 55, solicited and received commitments of the State Department's assistance for a Burisma geothermal subsidiary's work in Italy. This is bombshell stuff right here, y'all. And this, once again, this goes toward hang on, we had an impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden where they uncovered mountains of evidence, as a matter of fact, that shows that Joe Biden knew what his son was doing, knew that his son and his brother, his family, other members of his family, was peddling the Biden name. They were influencing all these foreign companies to get money, and it's just a bunch of garbage. It's a bunch of nonsense, a bunch of malfeasance, if you will. And Joe Biden was trying to say, oh, he never had anything to do with any of his family business, right? There was an absolute wall in between him. As a matter of fact, come to find out, there wasn't. There was a lot of underhanded nonsense going on. We found out that, as a matter of fact, Hunter Biden flew to a business trip on Air Force Two with his dad, as a matter of fact, several times. Yeah, it's just, once again, y'all, Joe Biden, like I said, the worst president in American history, hands down. Just, that's it. I mean, the worst president. Because there was a lot there, y'all. Then, U.S. Ambassador to Rome, John Phillips, who had received a letter from Hunter asking for help, wrote to the then second son in July 2016 that he was designating a subordinate to help grease the wheels for Burisma, which was seeking to firm up relations with then Tuscany Regional President Enrico Rossi. Dear Hunter, it seems like yesterday that you were in Rome. I hope this finds you well. Thank you for your letter. I know Enrico Rossi well and have a good working relationship with him, the ambassador wrote in response, printed by the New York Times. I spoke to the senior commercial officer at the embassy, name redacted, and though the amount of direct support we can provide to a Ukrainian company is limited, I've asked him to be the point of contact, see where our interests may overlap, and facilitate contact with Mr. Rossi. I wonder what see where our interests may overlap means. This is all very, very fascinating, if you ask me. This is just crazy, y'all. Like, I wish we could have got this beforehand, but once again, the Biden administration obstructed Congress from doing its oversight duties and looking into all this, because this came from the Trump administration. This all comes from the federal government. As a matter of fact, the Oversight Committee has been spending a lot of time going over records and, investigating Joe Biden still. Even though they paused or stopped or canceled, whatever you want to call it, the impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden, I think they need to revive that thing, if you ask me. Impeach that guy. Permanently tarnish the guy's name. Seriously. I mean, how can you not? He is absolutely the worst president in American history. And we are just now learning of some of his malfeasance while in office. That is not to mention all the crisis stuff on the border. Oh my God, I could go on for days on that. Violating court orders. But hang on just a second. Did you just say violate court orders? Yes, as a matter of fact, I said violating court orders. Supreme Court orders, as a matter of fact. With the student loan forgiveness program. Supreme Court twice told him, no, you can't do that. It's unconstitutional. And what did he do? He did it anyway. He found a loophole in the government and figured out a way to force you to pay for student loan relief, to pay for some people's student loans, as a matter of fact, which is absurd. And it's just, story after story after story after story of Joe Biden violating the law, doing this he shouldn't be doing, blah, 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 you get it. But what's so funny about that is you didn't hear a peep from any of the corporate press on any of this stuff, because we didn't have a constitutional crisis when Joe Biden violated Supreme Court orders. We didn't have a constitutional crisis when Joe Biden sued Texas. We didn't have a constitutional crisis for Afghanistan withdrawal. We didn't have any sort of crisis at all ever under Joe Biden for some reason. And the corporate press, as a matter of fact, propped up the Biden administration to the fullest extent, going as far as to lie to you on a daily basis about the cognitive decline that the President of the United States was suffering from. It's insane. Right, like we've pulled back the covers on all of this stuff on this channel. So if you're new around here, make sure and subscribe, because that is what we do, as a matter of fact. We read out the news and we point out where you're being manipulated. And, I give my biased take on a lot of things. I have no problem saying, hey, look, I'm a conservative. I lean to the right a little bit. You might be surprised on some of my views on certain things, but I'm mostly center-right, I guess you could say. But that's where I'm at least. But I have no problem saying that I have a bias. I am going to read left-wing news and then offset that with my own bias. But, it is what it is. It's crazy, y'all. This whole story with this is nuts. Phillips told the Times that he understood Hunter to be referring to a 3-day stay by then VP Biden at the official ambassador's residence in November 2015, with Hunter joining for part of the visit. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? A rep for Hunter Biden told the newspaper that his reference to his powerful dad's trip was heartfelt appreciation for courtesy and comfort shown by Phillips. The publication of records shores up Republican claims of influence peddling as part of Hunter's lucrative consulting work in countries such as China and Ukraine during his father's 8 years as VP, though they are surfacing after the political salience of that evidence has passed. I don't think that should be the case, y'all. Like, sure, Joe Biden's faded into obscurity at this point, but you know what? Why? It's only because we've allowed Joe Biden to fade into obscurity. Stories like this, I think they need to revive the impeachment hearing, need to revive everything. I don't care at this point. I will go on the record saying that at one point I have said in the past several times that it is retarded. Very, very stupid to impeach Donald Trump after he comes out of office. But that was based upon the fact that the impeachment itself was stupid. As a matter of fact, this impeachment is not stupid. So, please, Republicans, if you hear this, revive the impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden. Send it to the Senate and have him convicted in the Senate. Please, after this. This is insane. He needs to be censured. Something needs to happen. Seriously, after all the evidence of the influence peddling, all the checks he received from Hunter Biden's shell companies. Just nuts, y'all. It really is. As president, Joe Biden repeatedly denied ever having contact with Hunter or first brother James Biden's foreign business partners, despite photos, emails, and witness testimony indicating he met their associates from Kazakhstan, Mexico, Russia, Ukraine, and two Chinese government-linked ventures. The elder Biden pardoned his son in December of tax fraud and gun convictions, and in January preemptively pardoned other members of his family, including James. Now, we all speculated, okay, why is he doing this? It can't be, fear of retribution from Donald Trump. That logic does not line up. Why? Why do you say that? Because Hunter Biden has never tried to jail Donald Trump. James Biden has never tried to jail Donald Trump. None of the Biden family has. Why? What sense would it make for Trump to go after Biden's family? What sense does it make for Donald Trump to go after Dr. Fauci, of all people? Like, why pardon Dr. Fauci? It makes zero sense. So, the fact that they got preemptive pardons, which is insane, right? I speculated that had never happened before in U.S. history. Well, I found out later, so admonish me, if you will, that it happened one other time. Once. That was when Richard Nixon got a pardon. Preemptive pardon. That's right. The President of the United States got a preemptive pardon from the next President of the United States. Once. And we all know what that was for, right? Right. Now, the fact that Joe Biden gave out all these pardons is absurd on its face, because you can't use the excuse, they feared retribution from Donald Trump. No. Like I said, that doesn't line up with reality at all. Ever. Does not line up. So why did they get? Maybe it's because Joe Biden knew that in the White House they had records, documents showing, maybe there was some malfeasance going on over here. Maybe they did something behind the scenes that they can later find evidence of, and they can go after them later for crimes they committed. That is why. That is the only reason it can be. And just so happens, come to find out, 73 days into Donald Trump's administration, we get this bombshell evidence showing connections between, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, all this nonsense that we just read through. This is very fascinating, y'all. Time and again, Hunter Biden leveraged his father's position to peddle influence to enrich the Biden family. It's no surprise that Hunter Biden tried to exploit his last name with the U.S. ambassador in Rome to assist a corrupt Ukrainian conglomerate, Comer added. This appears to be a violation of the Foreign Agents Registration Act, and he should be held accountable. Burisma hired Hunter to serve on its board in early 2014 to help the company's pro-Russia oligarch leader, Mykola Zlochevsky, navigate the aftermath of the country's anti-Moscow political revolution. Hunter led the geothermal subsidiary to an environmentally friendly face on the natural gas supplier. Sorry about that. Although Hunter had no relevant industry experience, his father had just taken control of the Obama administration's Ukraine portfolio, and the scandal-plagued son has admitted he would probably not have been hired had he had a different last name. Key questions about the Biden family's entanglement in Ukraine remain unanswered, including the precise chronology of Joe Biden's successful months-long campaign to use $1 billion in U.S. loan guarantees to oust Ukrainian Prosecutor General Viktor Shokin, whose office had investigated Zlochevsky for awarding his own firm while serving as a member of former President Viktor Yanukovych's administration. Democrats argued the probe was inactive at the time of Shokin's dismissal. Yeah, but that's only because Zlochevsky had fled the country during that time. As a matter of fact, that's the entire reason they were getting Viktor Shokin fired. Right? We already went over the clip of Jim Jordan going over letters saying that, Viktor Shokin was a champion of fighting corruption in Ukraine. He was doing a great job. So why did the Obama administration have Biden advocate on behalf to get rid of him because he was corrupt? You mean the champion of fighting corruption? Yeah, none of this makes any sense whatsoever. That is right. A lot of people don't know about that. Joe Biden, it was a quid pro quo, just blatant, withheld $1 billion in loan guarantees if Ukraine didn't fire the very prosecutor that was investigating Joe Biden's son's, Hunter Biden's company that he was working for. As a matter of fact. Conflict of interest much? I'm just saying, all of this is all lining up. All the pieces are falling into place here. Joe Biden, the worst president in American history, y'all. But the elder Biden's decision to use the U.S. aid as leverage shocked fellow administration officials, according to previously released documents, and came within weeks of Hunter calling his dad during a business summit in Dubai with Zlochevsky and Burisma board advisor Vadim Pocharski. I guess that's how you pronounce that, sorry. In December 2015, according to sworn testimony by former Hunter business partner Devon Archer. Yikes. I don't recall this coming up in our meeting with them on Tuesday, National Security Council aide Eric Charmello wrote in a January 21, 2016 email, adding that we were super impressed with the group from Shokin's office that visited D.C. Documents published by the Post in October from 2020 from Hunter's abandoned laptop showed that Joe Biden dined at D.C.'s Cafe Milano in April 2015 with Pocharski. I guess that's how you're going to pronounce that, but I'm probably getting it wrong. The meeting was vaguely denied by the Biden campaign, but was confirmed by Hunter himself in congressional testimony last year. This is all, once again, the pieces are falling into place, y'all. Also uncertain is the extent of longtime Kyiv mayor Vitaly Klitschko's purported involvement with Burisma's geothermal subsidiary. Klitschko met repeatedly with Joe Biden and was described in laptop documents as a core shareholder in the subsidiary that did work in Italy, stoking further intrigue. A former business associate told the Post that Hunter would refer contacts to the former world heavyweight champion through Klitschko, though Klitschko has denied any role in the enterprise. This is all very, very fascinating, y'all. Very, very fascinating. And once again, because of Joe Biden, the most corrupt president in the United States, we cannot go after Hunter Biden on any of this. But, I would posit right now, right away, that Donald Trump just say, to hell with the pardons, go arrest that man. Seriously. I understand he's not really that worried about it right now, and he probably doesn't want to be viewed as going after these people for petty retribution. I understand that, but at this point, we've got a lot of evidence to prove that they did something wrong that warrants further investigation. I'll say that. I'll be fair. It warrants further investigation, as a matter of fact. So I would say get the DOJ on top of this. Let's get to it, y'all. Let's have somebody go through the CIA. Let's uncover some documents. I mean, we've got plenty of documents, I'm sure, in the federal government that would take some uncovering to get to, but I imagine we could find it. We could find a lot. Hunter Biden called Joe Biden I think in 2015. 2 weeks later, Joe Biden goes to Ukraine, threatens to withhold $1 billion to get the prosecutor fired. Once again, that investigation started not long before Hunter Biden made that phone call. You put the pieces of the puzzle together, y'all. Once again, then you got all the checks, all the money that Hunter Biden got from CEFC in China, from Burisma. It's nonsense. These people were running a scam behind the scenes, if you ask me. Right, because once again, Hunter Biden went to law school, but he didn't have his bar. I mean, he could practice in New York. Sorry, take that back. He could practice law in New York at the time, I believe. But anywhere else, you know, he got hired as a consultant. Well, he doesn't know anything about natural gas. Seriously, who is he consulting and what is he doing? Oh, what is he doing? Oh, he's peddling the Biden name, pushing that for influence, to influence other companies, to extort, whatever it may be. Right? I have no idea what they were actually doing. But they were making a lot of money. Who pays a consultant $1 million a year for an energy company just to be a consultant, and not actually work there? I don't know, man. That seems high for a consultant. Seems really high for a consultant. I understand consultants make good money, but you know, generally speaking, it's in the $100,000 to $200,000 range, not 7 freaking figures. It's just insane, y'all. It really is. And then once again, for me, that sold it up was the preemptive pardon, y'all. The preemptive pardon says it all, right there. I mean, you might be able to excuse your way out of a lot of that. You can't excuse your way out of all of it. I'm sorry, that's just not how excuses work. As a matter of fact, you can't just make up a bunch of excuses and expect everybody to just be like, oh, okay. It's not how reality works, by the way. People get suspicious. And then when they start connecting all the dots, eventually those dots end. And you step back and you see the bigger picture. And I think we're starting to see that, folks. Influence peddling 101 right here. A lot of money laundering, probably. I don't know. I really don't know what they were doing, but they were definitely doing something untoward, if you will. But I think I've rambled on for long enough on this one. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. It blows my mind. I know I try to say that every single video, but it does. It really does. Blows my mind every single day, at least twice. Because that's how many videos I make. But y'all let me know what y'all think about all this. That's all I got on this one. Y'all don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe if you would, if you're new around here. Don't subscribe if you're already subscribed, because then you would unsubscribe. And we don't want you doing that. Please don't do that. But y'all try to have a good one and stay legitical. Peace.